What's up? Um, so welcome to Esoteric Americana. Um, Originally, I was actually going to call the channel or nickname the channel Esokana. Um, but that kind of brings to mind a channel about Chicana occultism, and I wasn't going for that, so um, declined that name. And so yeah, today I'm going for kind of like a sexless broccoli head librarian look, kind of like a mix between Sporty Spice and Oliver Platt. Okay, so yeah, today, first thing I want to talk about was how I want to visit a water park, particularly the water park of my youth. I can remember it well. There was one towering slide in the water park, kind of it swirled up. It was blue, um, like the blue of a blueberry ice cream yogurt swirl, swirled up kind of like a magical castle. And the mats that we used to ride down the slide were all slimy. It's nasty, and they were stacked up at the entrance, kind of like a pile of slugs. And in the game room, there was this red carpet that was all it squelched between your toes when you walk through it, probably crawling with bacteria. So what I would like to do is I'd like to go back to this place at night and take some photos of it. Probably, and while I'm doing so, probably listen to Gary Rafferty or something, like maybe the song Baker Street, or probably Baker Street, yeah. And then I'd like to like take these photos and Photoshop them and make them the symbol of Esoteric Americana, but also the logo of my channel, One Nation Under Fun. Anyway, that's besides the point. This brings me to the point of the Joker, right? So, as you know, the Joker is a theme through this series, Esoteric Americana. One of the symbols of Esoterica Americana. And I've been doing a lot of research about the Joker. And I found that like the most popular avatar is the avatar of the Killing Joke, particularly of this image where like the Joker has his long white fingers plunged into his like green Medusa hair, um, and it made me think about the Killing Joke and the origin story in the Killing Joke. So I'm not going to go and critique the Killing Joke. It's a beautiful comic, right? Alan Moore. I forgot the other guy's name. Wonderful, but it made me think about the origin story and the implausibility about that origin story. Not that the Joker's origin story needs to be plausible. That's not what it's about. So I'm not critiquing the comic based on the implausibility, right? Better that it's implausible, even in my opinion, right? Anyway, but I just want to talk about the implausibility a little bit and kind of use that as an angle to segue. So in that comic, spoiler alert, if you haven't read the comic, turn it off now. Turn this video off now. Go read the comic. Masterpiece. Spoiler alert, turn it off now if you haven't read the comic. Okay? Okay. Okay. So if you read the comic already, you know that the origin story is, right, the Joker, he's a failed comic. He gets caught up with two, mafia type goons, and they take advantage of him, and put this, dress him up as, I don't remember, dress him up as like a known villain of the time, like the Red Hood or whatever, and get him to rob this chemical plant, right? Anyway, police come. I guess Batman comes too, and long story short, Joker falls in a vat of acid, right? You know the story. You've seen. Hey, um, so where was I? Yeah, in case you're wondering, that was my father-in-law calling about buying some baby food. Um, it's a long story. I'm using my wife's phone because the quality of the camera on my phone sucks. Okay, so yeah, so the Joker fell in a vat of acid. Uh, Pursued by Batman, staggers back home only to find that his wife and I believe unborn child have perished in a chemical fire. He loses it, right? Boom, he loses it. So no transition stage, no explanation of the metamorphosis, right? I get the I'm not trying to dog the plot of this comic, right? I get the plot; it's beautiful executed. I get the point that they're trying to make, right? That not any man, not just any man, and this is what Commissioner Gordon and Batman trying to prove after Commissioner Gordon's daughter is assaulted by the Joker and his thugs, that not just anyone would lose it because of the experience of such pain, right? It takes a weak man to lose it, right? That's the whole point of the story. That's the whole point of the story. It takes a weak man. Only a weak man would become the Joker, right? And I get that, and that's cool, right? That's a good. That's a very. It's a very tight comic. It's crisp. But what I would like to see, and so the implausibility, right? It is not a problem with the comic. In fact, the implausibility in reality is something that's like, it works, right? You don't need. It's not realism. But what I would like to see is a sequel to The Killing Joke, where it kind of riffs on like in Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. So if you remember in The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger kind of, in explaining his origins, says, take a pick. It's multiple choice. And he talks about how, his father might have done this, done that. This happened to his mother, that happened to his mother. So we don't know. It's nebulous. It's dark, right? The origins are dark. We're not sure which one's the real one. And I think that would be a cool angle to take in the sequel to The Killing Joke. And in that, like, we are, it is made known to us in the sequel that it's the Joker telling us this story about his origins. But I mean, and Batman thinks, well, those origins are implausible. Like, how would that alone have turned that man, that wet noodle, that wimp, into the Joker? So he begins to investigate, right? And what he finds is that there was this something else, this transition stage, this metamorphosis that assisted him along to become, his diabolical archenemy, which is the Joker. Anyway, I think that would be a cool sequel to The Killing Joke. And the last thing I'd like to talk about today on the theme of the Joker is why the Joker has such appeal, right? So I'm going to come back to this theme over and over again, probably. And why the Joker has such appeal? Well, one of them is the Joker represents the evolution beyond the bounds and the barriers that bind us, right? Beyond our bounds and barriers, by means of excruciating, mind-splitting pain, right? So going through mind-splitting, excruciating pain, we are able to evolve beyond the bounds and the barriers that bind us. And in that way, the Joker represents some kind of transcendence, right? Perhaps the worst kind of transcendence, depending on your point of view. But it's some kind of transcendence nonetheless. And I think that's fascinating, that appeal of the Joker. And I believe that is the ultimate appeal of the Joker, right? Breaking through the bounds and the barriers that bind us by means of experiencing excruciating, mind-splitting pain. And with that, I'll leave you, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take it easy.